Hello everybody, this is Ogre and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2000 movie Hellraiser Inferno. This is the 5th movie in the Hellraiser franchise and it's directed by Scott Derrickson in his directorial debut, and in this movie a shady police detective named Detective Thorne is embroiled in a strange world of murder, sadism, and madness after being assigned to a murder investigation against a madman only known as the Engineer. And all the murders end up being connected to the puzzle box, and they throw in some stuff with the Cenobites and stuff in here, and everything to connect it to the Hellraiser franchise. This feels like a movie that wasn't originally supposed to be a Hellraiser movie, but they threw in some Cenobites and the puzzle box and stuff and Pinhead to make it a Hellraiser movie. And I actually somewhat enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's like a super great movie, but compared to the last two Hellraiser movies, I think this one was somewhat enjoyable. It had a decent enough story, and that the detective stuff was engaging enough to keep me invested, and I kind of enjoyed that. I thought it was a different take on the Hellraiser franchise and everything, and while the stuff does kind of feel shoehorned in, it also does kind of add a little bit of a flavor to the detective story that we're kind of familiar with from that time period of the late 90s, early 2000s detective movies. So it kind of works. I will say that it does have some pretty good makeup effects and stuff, but it also has some pretty bad CGI, which I think a lot of these Hellraiser movies from the early 2000s is going to have, unfortunately. It's just something I'm going to have to get used to, but it did have some cool practical effects too and stuff, and some decent moments. The kills in here are kind of forgettable. A lot of them happen off screen and stuff, and you just hear it happening but you don't see it, and in a way it's a little bit more effective and stuff, but in a way it's also kind of annoying because I like to see the kills in horror movies and stuff, so it's that part's kind of mixed. I think if they would have like balanced it better, where you see some of the kills, you don't see some of the kills, I think it could have worked even better. The cast in here are all fine in their roles. Aside from Doug Bradley as Pinhead, the only other actor that I recognized in this movie was Nicholas Totoro, who plays Detective Thorne's partner, Detective Nenin. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I probably butchered it, but he's an okay character and everything. Nicholas Totoro is a pretty decent actor, and I thought he was fine in the role in this movie, but Doug Bradley as Pinhead is pretty good, but he's barely in this movie. Like, I think he's only maybe 3 or 4 scenes at the very most, if that. He's barely in this movie. Like I said, that's why I feel like it kind of feels like they kind of added the Cenobites in there last minute, that like this was meant to be a different movie. But for what it is, I think it's okay, and it does, even though it's not his best work and stuff, it does show Scott Derrickson's promise of being a director. He's really proven himself in years since this movie came out as one of the better directors around nowadays. He directed one of the best horror movies of the year this year with The Black Phone, and he also did some other really great movies such as The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which has always been one of my favorites. Sinister, which is pretty underrated, although it is kind of popular too, but it was more popular at the time it came out. It don't get talked about near enough anymore, but Sinister was pretty good when he directed the first Doctor Strange, which he did a good job on. So everything that I've seen, which those are all the main ones I've seen of his, and The Day the Earth Stood Still, I keep forgetting he directed that one, and Deliver Us From Evil I haven't seen yet. So I've seen almost all of his movies and everything. This one is definitely my least favorite of his, but I do still like it, and I did like the style he brought to it. There are certain scenes in here, especially some of the ones with the Cenobites and Pennywise when they're in that little realm thing. I mean, not Pennywise, but Pinhead. Sorry, totally wrong villain. When they were in that scene at the end of it where it's completely black and everything, just the style of that scene looks really great and everything. So even though this isn't like one of his best movies, you still do get a little bit of his distinct style early in his career, and I thought that was kind of cool too, getting to see that. So all in all, this movie is alright. It's not super great, it's not super terrible, it's not one of the best in the well, actually it could be one of the best in the franchise so far. It's not one of my most favorites, but this franchise isn't one of my favorite franchises, but this one is okay for what it is. It's not anything super great and everything. I'll probably forget what it's about by the time I watch the 6th movie tomorrow. That seems to be how this franchise has kind of gotten. It's kind of just forgettable. But this movie is okay. So I'd say I'd give Hellraiser Inferno a 6 out of 10. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it's not something I'm going to want to rewatch very often. It's not like something super great, but it's fine for what it is and everything. If I do ever rewatch this franchise, this is one of the ones that I'd be more looking forward to rewatching. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Hellraiser Inferno, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.